Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, Apple Podcasts, talklawradio.com, Facebook, and YouTube. Go to YouTube and search for Talk Law Radio. Look for Lady Justice and the red, white, and blue logo and click subscribe. Looking for 1,000 subscribers so that YouTube will allow me to stream live from YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about highlights from 2023. We'll go over some of the notable guests we've had this year and some of the legal issues that I want to remind you of. So you know that this show is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. Tell a friend to tune in as well. And you have an opportunity today to get a free book. If you call 210-308-8867, 210-308-8867, all you have to do is give your phone number, and you can win a book by Arnold Schwarzenegger called Be Useful, 7 Tools for Life, or The Lost Gospel by Herbert Croncy, or Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing by Matthew Perry. Give us a call just by calling and letting me know that you're listening. Let us know your name and where you're calling from, where you're listening right now, and I'll give you one of those books. So today I'm going to be talking about the highlights of 2023, some of our notable guests and important legal issues. And what I discovered from looking back this year is I talked a lot about constitutional law. Constitutional law involving free speech, involving abortion, involving the Second Amendment. And the first episode that I talked about constitutional law was on July 8th, 2023. So you can find that episode by searching talklawradio.com and just find July 8th, 2023. It was called Supreme Court Update. And during that episode, I talked about the Supreme Court's decision to end affirmative action. Affirmative action is where universities and businesses were having quotas for getting a certain number of people of a certain race. And so there was a lawsuit over that. And one of the problems that the plaintiff had was it seemed like that there was a disadvantage. They were trying to disadvantage Asian American students in favor of other races, and the Supreme Court decided that affirmative action was no longer necessary in order to achieve diversity in universities. So that was the court case was called Students for Fair Admissions versus President and Fellows of Harvard College. Also during that same episode, I talked about the court case against challenging Colorado's Anti-Discrimination Act. The court case was known as 303 Creative versus Alenis. And what I learned from that case is that artists and business owners should pay attention to the laws being proposed by municipal, state, and federal lawmakers because it might affect you, and you might want to advocate against passing a new law like that, or you might want to support it. But the most important thing is just being aware and how it'll affect your business. And so if you're listening right now and you're wondering whether a rule or regulation or state law or federal law is affecting your business and it's causing you some heartache, let me know. Email me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOST at talklawradio.com. And I will look into it and see if I can make it part of the show, and then we'll both learn something. You see, God started with one law. He said to Adam and Eve, "Don't eat from the fruit of that tree." Then he gave Moses the 10 Commandments. Now we have local, state, and federal lawmakers that won't stop making new laws. And so we need to be aware of what laws are being passed, because I value my freedom and liberty. I don't want the government intruding on my business or myself unnecessarily. The next time I talked about the Supreme Court was July 16th, 2023, and I talked about the structure of the Supreme Court. So if you're interested in learning about the structure, you can search for that episode. Then I talked about the Satanic Temple and Ann Doe versus Cecile Young, who was head of Texas Health and Human Services. The Satanic Temple was challenging the Texas abortion law, which is found at Texas Health and Safety Code section 170A.002. This was passed after Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health, the Supreme Court case, overturned Roe versus Wade. So if you're interested in knowing more about abortion law or just how weird the Satanic Temple is, you can find that episode by searching podcasts everywhere or talklawradio.com. I also talked about Missouri versus Biden on July 30th, 2023, which was a case that involved the First Amendment right to free speech. And in that case, the court found that the federal government had been suppressing speech on social media platforms during the 2020 election. And this is not a conspiracy. There was evidence in court, and this is what the judges found. Another constitutional case episode, I talked about women veterans health care. This was a case about abortion. I talked about it on August 5th, 2023. There was a court case involving Carter versus Dennis Richard McDonough in his official capacity as United States Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Carter was a nurse practitioner that did not want to participate in abortions because she said it was against her religion. And so the court found that forcing her to do her job and being involved in an abortion violated the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993. That act says the government shall not substantially burden a person's exercise of religion, even if the burden results from a rule of general applicability. Very interesting case there. Okay, you may remember this was a year of the Second Amendment, and that's what I talked about on August 12th, 2023. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin was a Supreme Court case that reviewed the New York law, which required proof of a special need for self-protection to receive an unrestricted license to carry a concealed firearm outside of the home. The Supreme Court found that New York law to be unconstitutional, a violation of the Second Amendment, and that case and others have been interpreted to mean that our Second Amendment allows us to do more and more. During that episode on August 12th, I also talked about Vanderstock versus Garland, which was a challenge to the ATF's frame or receiver rule, where the ATF was just changing a rule to outlaw what they call ghost guns. So that was an interesting case. Stay tuned for more after the break. I'll be talking about more constitutional law and others. So stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.